video we're going to talk about the Show Me Tell Me questions in the Toyota Yaris, the 4th generation, so the 2020 onwards shape. So to check your brakes are working, you would first of all switch the engine on and then operate the foot brake. And it shouldn't feel spongy or slack, and also while driving the car shouldn't pull to one side. So to check your tyre pressures, first of all you would take the dust cap off and then you use a good quality pressure gauge. Put it against the valve of the tyre and it should say the same as it says in the owner's manual. Check when the tyres are cold, so before you're driven, and the reason for that is because when you drive your tyres get hot, so therefore the gas will expand and give you a false reading. Remember to put the dust cap back on, and if you have a spare tyre, check that as well. To check your head restraint is set correctly, there's a button at the bottom of the post here. You squeeze that in and then you can move the head restraint up and down, and you want to set it so your eye level is in the centre of the pad. To check that your tyres have sufficient tread depth and that the general condition is safe for road use, you would use a depth gauge and put it in the grooves of the tyre, and there should be at least 1.6 millimetres over the middle 3/4 of the tyre, and there should be no deep cuts or bulges around the outside edges of the tyre, the wall of the tyre. Now the outside 8s don't make much of a difference, and this is something that you can say to the examiner to impress them, but you shouldn't be able to see the canvas or the cording. That would make the tyre illegal. To check your headlights and tail lights are working, you would put the key on ignition first of all, and then you twist the ends of the left stalk anti-clockwise as far as it goes. So the green light will come up on the dashboard. You then walk around the car and you should have 2 lights at the front and 2 lights at the back. So to check your ABS is working, you would put the key in the ignition, turn it to ignition setting, and the ABS light should light up in the bottom of the dashboard. It should then turn off after a few seconds. If it stays illuminated, there is a fault. So to check your direction indicators are working, there are 2 different ways of doing it. You can either put the key on ignition and then use the indicator stalk and then walk around the car. So if you put the left one on, you should then check the left hand side, and there should be 3. The front corner, the side and the rear. Then you get back in the vehicle and you switch over to the right hand side and do the same on the right. Or the easier way to do it, you won't need the key for this one. You can just press the hazard light button, which is in the center, and then walk around the car and all 6 lights should illuminate. So to check your brake lights are working, you'd put the key on ignition and then you put your foot on the brake and ask someone to stand at the back of the car. Then you should have 3 lights that illuminate. If you don't have anyone with you, then reverse near an object and look for the reflections. So to check your power steering is working, you pull down with your left hand first of all and it should be stiff, and then once you start the engine it should go nice and light. If it stays heavy, there is a fault and it shouldn't go heavy whilst driving. To turn on your rear fog light, you put the key on ignition first, twist the end of the left stalk, and then the inner ring, you twist it once for the front fog light and then twist it again. It will spring load back for the rear fog light, and an amber light will come up on the dashboard, and we use that when visibility is less than 100 meters. To switch between dipped beam and main beam or full beam lights, you put the key on ignition, twist the end of the left stalk and then push the whole stalk away from you. And the blue light should come up in the center of the top of the dashboard. So to open the bonnet, the lever is just on the right hand side of the steering wheel at the bottom. 2 fingers or 1 finger underneath, and then just pull it until you hear a pop noise. The next thing you will do is walk round to the front of the car. So to open the bonnet, you pull it up first, and there's a catch just to the right of the Toyota badge, and you slide it from the right to the left. You lift the bonnet up and you take the prop out from here, put it down into the hole on the side of the suspension strut. Okay, so there's a plastic box and then there's a little bit of foam and it goes in the hole there. That keeps it supported. So the first thing to check your engine oil is done with this yellow dipstick. You take it out, you clean it with a clean dry cloth, put it back in, take it back out, and it should be between the min and max mark. So the min is the bottom dot. I don't know if you can really see that on the camera there. So the minimum mark and then the maximum mark is there. Remember, when you are doing this, you don't actually have to do it, okay? You just tell the examiner. The screen wash is here, the engine coolant is here, and that should be between the min and max marks on the side. And then the brake fluid is up here, and again should be between the min and max marks. To close the bonnet, push up slightly with your right hand, take the prop out, and make sure you put it back into the white plastic clip. Take the bonnet down so it's about a handspan from the bottom, and just drop it. That will now locate. So the first question that the examiner could ask you to do is to wash the front windscreen. Now, yes, it is raining at the moment, but the examiner could still ask you to do this question. And that's done by the lever on the right hand side of the steering wheel, and you just pull it towards you. Hold it until the windscreen wipers start, and then let go. Be aware that you're going to be blinded for a few seconds, or about half a second, whilst that's being done. So the second thing the examiner could ask you to do is to wash the rear window, and that's again done by the lever on the right hand side. You push it away from you, it will spray first, then it starts to wipe. When it stops, it will then stop wiping automatically. You do not have to turn it off manually. So the next thing the examiner could ask you to do is to open and close a window, and that's done by the switches on this right hand side here. Doesn't make a difference which window you do. For this purpose, because it's raining, I'm going to do one of the rear windows, which is the buttons at the bottom. You push it down, hold it, or click it all the way until it opens fully, and then pull it back up to close it. You don't have to do it completely, you can just open it partially and then close it again. So if it is raining, normally the examiner will say, don't worry about doing it fully. The examiner could ask you to turn on your lights, and that's done by the lever on the left hand side. Twist it until your lights turn on, and then untwist to turn it back off again. The examiner could ask you to demist the rear window, and that's done by the buttons down here. The one on the right hand side of the two with the indentations is the rear one. So you just press that button and the orange light turns on, and then press it again to turn it off. The examiner may also ask you to sound your horn. When sounding your horn, make sure it's an appropriate place that you're not going to scare anyone. So I wouldn't do it with these pedestrians here because we don't want to startle them, but it might be safe here. So just check for pedestrians, there isn't any, and then it's just a little push of the centre. The last thing the examiner could ask you to do is to demist the front windscreen, and that's done by the other indented button, the third one from the right. You press that and that will turn on the blowers automatically. You then press that again to turn it all back off.